Hey there, you rowdy ruffians, and welcome back to another episode of Reading Room Ruffians. We're your favorite library podcast. We discuss books we've read, tell you about our upcoming programs, and throw a few guest speakers in for some flavor. We are coming to you from our public library in Jackson County, West Virginia. This is Mallory, your Appalachian Baba Yaga, and I'm joined by my swamp goblin BFF, Ariel.
Yes, bring me all your bones and shiny rocks.
Our Supreme Overlord, Carla.
Why? Just why?
And coming in hot from Seattle, Washington, we have this nerd, Zach.
Hello, all of my little patronauts.
We also have our coworker, Kim, and she is going to join us today for some book chat.
Hello.
We have a few questions for you so they can kind of get to know you that I typed up this morning. So I'm so glad you're so prepared.
Me too.
Nice for a heads up, right?
Right.
Okay, so how long have you worked for the library?
I have been here for 7.5 months.
It does not feel like that.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
Dang. And she's counting her fingers.
It has been 7.5 months.
All right. What made you want to apply to the library and work here?
I've always been interested in the library. When my son was young, I took him to the library when he started at 3 years old. And I just love reading, and I love to educate people and get away from phones and start reading some books.
Well, that kind of answered the next question, too. So
Yeah.
cool. Skip that one. What is your main job here at the library?
I am a library assistant. That's the job title, but we do everything, don't we?
Yeah, that's very true.
I might add that Kim has been a good asset to the team, and we really enjoy having her here.
Yeah, we love Kim.
I love you guys. I really do. I really love being here. I do. It's a great job. It is a great job. And it's so interesting. We stay busy, but I mean, the people I work with are the greatest. And I just really enjoy being here.
Now that I'm crying. What is your favorite thing about working here?
The people.
I was gonna
I'm a
say
people
us.
person. Yeah. I'm a people person. So I love the community and I love the people and just seeing new faces and different walks of life.
All right. So, what is your favorite genre of books to read?
My favorite genre would be I like books that are mostly from World War I and II and just a lot of factual stuff that happened. I like reading, history and things like that.
So, nonfiction or historical fiction?
Both.
Maybe?
Both.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I like both of those.
All right. And do you have an all-time favorite book?
An all-time favorite book would be... You
That's
guys
a
are gonna
hard
laugh.
That's a hard question, honestly.
I guess I would say, since that's the first time I've ever been asked that, I know it's going to sound really weird, but Little Pokey.
The puppy,
The puppy.
Little puppy.
My mom and dad read that to me my whole life, and so I read it to my kids. But yeah, I just love those books for kids.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
It sounds about like some of ours were our favorites. It's like,
Yeah.
But as far as like a book, I don't have any because I just love to read.
You see,
You
that's
know.
I hate when people are like, "What's your favorite book?" And I'll be
Yeah.
like, "Can I give you my top 10
Exactly, yeah.
series? Top 10 series?"
Here's
Right.
my top 10 recently.
Right.
I do have an all-time favorite book, but yeah, I
is
usually it's Pride and Prejudice. It's such like a nerd book to pick too. But yeah, it's,
Why do you say that?
It just is.
Because she's a nerd.
Yeah.
No, because that's a nerd book.
Is it?
It's
See
a
how much I
classic,
know?
and a lot of people don't really do a whole lot of classics. They don't give classics a chance. I have read a few, and Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen in general, is just the best. But
Right.
yeah, that's my favorite of hers.
I think I picked the wrong classics
Yeah.
to read.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate these.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah, I didn't like a lot of the classics until I read that one, and then I was like, you know what, Jane Austen can get my vote. That's fine. So I think that moves us into book news.
Yes, book news. All right, so I know that some of this is going to be a bit out of date because by the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be at the end of June or pretty close. But today I wanted to talk about book banning, especially since it's been spiking up recently. There's been a huge chunk of books being banned this year, last year, and just wanted to go over a few things about it. So, I think the first best place to start is just why in the world are they being banned in the first place? There's a bunch of different reasons why people say they're being banned. And the general conceit is that it's to help protect children, but based on what they're actually banning, it doesn't seem to be the case. I know that the library does a bunch of banned book stuff every year, most years, don't you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that in September. Banned Books Week is, I think, the week of the 19th usually. Because
that's Pirate Week. It's the week after Pirate Week.
19th. Yeah, okay.
It's like the last of September, the first few days of October.
Yeah, we usually do quite a few things for Banned Book Week. Like, you can check out a banned book. We cover the banned books. You check out what it is based on. Actually, what we decide to write, it's almost like a blind date with a book. And you decide if you want to read it based on the little blurb that we've put or the first line of the book.
I think last year we also put why they got banned.
Yeah.
And like where.
Yes.
And some of the reasons are so dumb.
Honestly, I think my very favorite banned book story to tell people is that Hop on Pop gets banned or was banned at one point because it promoted violence against patriarchs.
It's like, yeah.
What a good reason.
It's crazy. And a lot of the books before, they weren't really so much banned as they were challenged.
Yeah.
Now they're actually starting to ban some of them.
Banned books were not a big thing for quite a while, and challenges were the biggest part that they got, but now it's...
I do want to say that our library, didn't our board decide that we're banning books?
Well, actually, they wanted to phrase it like that, but we have a collection development policy that deals with challenges to books.
Yeah.
And pretty much it's like, we hear what you're saying, but that's not, we are for freedom to read. So it's like, sorry, we're not going to ban books.
I know we wouldn't, but if we did, like if something happened and we did, I would throw a fit.
Yeah.
I would be a menace.
We'd be very loud.
Okay, well, that sort of gets me past what my next question was, is how do we feel about book banning? But it sounds like everybody's very against it. I am too, I'm not going to lie. So this is obviously going to be an unbiased discussion of book bannings. So there's been a bunch of, things that people have said about why they're banning the books. We've been noticing that, especially recently, there's been a significant amount of books that are banned mostly because they have some LGBTQ plus themes. And since this month is Pride Month, I just wanted to highlight those in general. And we'll talk about some that have been banned for that reason later. But just to go over a little bit of statistics and to show how bad the problem is. So over the past, year and a half, there's been almost 4,000 books banned, book bannings happening around the country, and then within the last 6 months there's been 864 individual titles that have been banned, which is ridiculous.
That's
right?
Disgusting. Mm-hmm.
Most of the bans are happening in the same general places.
Is this the big thing that I keep seeing about Florida?
Yeah, Florida's been one of them
Texas
recently.
is doing it.
Texas doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Florida doesn't at this point either. So it's...
Yeah, the three main
Florida,
ones are...
I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm a little surprised with Florida with all the other crazy crap that goes on in Florida.
And Key West.
You're really banning books?
That's why I'm not surprised, I think. Florida Man in general at this point is
Florida Man. I
better
love Florida
than
Man.
What's going on in Florida. It's give me Florida Man. Just give me Florida Man at this point.
Yeah.
I love Florida Man. Those are my favorite things to look up.
The thing that worries me, though, is West Virginia, in general, there's not a whole lot of difference between the philosophies of the general public between Florida and Texas and people in West Virginia on these topics.
Yep.
So we really have to...
I'll fight people.
Yeah. Currently, there's no books banned in West Virginia, though, from what I'm aware of.
No, actually, the library system is pretty strong. And, and people are more... There's a lot of people open to, read what you want to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we have...
The whole thing where they're, doing it to protect kids.
Oh, it's just nonsense. It's an excuse.
I was going to say, as a mother of, younger kids, I think that's the dumbest reason.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely dumbest. If I'm going to, keep my kid from reading something, it's going to be something that I've looked at and I've chose. That doesn't mean that other people can't read it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to read that to your kid, and most things I don't care for my kids to read because I'm just figure it out.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense. We don't do that. We don't do that anymore.
No.
But there was, Parkersburg was...
Yeah.
They faced a serious challenge.
I think they're still kind of reeling from that, actually.
But the community came out in support of the
What was the challenge for?
It was one of the LGBTQ books, but I cannot remember which one it was. But they wanted it put behind the desk where you had to specifically ask for it to get it so no one could see it.
It was an adult nonfiction book. if we're being, I don't remember the title yet.
I can't either. I can't remember.
But it's an adult nonfiction book. So it wasn't in the kids section anyway, which wasn't
it on display or something like that? They had it in a display?
Yeah,
like not on display, but in a display.
Yeah.
And that somebody saw it and got mad about it.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
And by the time that they had like brought it out, it wasn't even on display anymore. Like,
yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's frivolous. It feels frivolous.
Yeah, it's just people getting mad for no reason and then overreacting. So the highest numbers banned by state are Texas, Florida, and Missouri or Missouri.
That does not surprise. Nobody says Missouri. Okay?
I hear people say Missouri.
There. They do not. I live there. They don't.
I hear people say Missouri. Anyway.
No.
Not people from Missouri, I guess.
I think there are some. I think there are some areas that they do say it, but I don't think I've ever heard it outside of a couple podcasts of very specific sets of people say it.
It's got to be like very small sections of Missouri.
You know what? I'll do some research and get back.
Okay.
Join us next week
for how to pronounce Missouri.
Just an editor's note here. I did do the research, and it looks like it's roughly half and half. Missouri versus Missouri. There's some suggestion that the northwestern chunk is more Missouri, but it doesn't seem to be that strong of a division. Who knew? All right, back to the podcast. Yeah, so the issue is there's been a bunch of laws that have been passed recently that are very vague, and people are using them to basically ban whatever books they want by essentially just making stuff up. Nobody reads these books that they're banning, and then they just don't like the title, or they heard somebody else talk about them, and then they come up with some reason, and then those books get banned, right? And the other issue is that, especially in schools, in Florida, for example, there are some new laws that have said that educators cannot discuss basically anything based on the historical advantages or disadvantages of being a specific race, right? So, for example, slavery and stuff, kind of a big advantage there for the white folks back in the day in the U.S. And that every school must catalog every book on their shelves, including those found in classrooms, so that people can essentially look at those book lists and say, no, you can't have this book in there. And then you can't have any books talking about sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through third grade, right? And basically, it can't be literally anything, so people will just ban stuff if there's a specific mention of any of subset of words in the books, then they can be banned effectively, right? And then there's more that talk about explicit sexual material. And again, the definition of that in the law is so vague that you could basically pick whatever you want and claim that it is, right? It's unfortunate. But there's been a bunch of laws passed. Florida has some. Utah, Missouri are the big ones recently that have passed stuff.
What's ironic about all this is the best way to bring attention to a book you don't want people to read is to challenge or try to ban it.
Yep.
And when you look back in history, there is never a group that has decided to ban books that are looked at as the good guys.
Yep.
And no one seems to realize this.
Because we've stopped looking at actual history. It's
it's
glossed over a lot. I mean, you don't think about it. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis burned books to make sure that they were erased. And we are so close to that at this point. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit 451 again.
That's my favorite banned book because it's all about banning books.
Yeah. It is a good one.
It's kind of ironic, yeah.
It is. It's so funny.
It's like you guys missed the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo. Nailed it.
Yeah.
How dare you call us out on this?
Some of the ones that really don't make sense to me either. So in general, like I said, there's been a bunch of books banned late last year, right? From July 1st to December 1st last year, 874 unique titles were banned. And a lot of them is for example, 44% have themes of or instances of violence and physical abuse, right? And the violence, physical abuse, it varies, but the fact that those things are being banned, right? And we still people don't seem to have any issues with kids watching Marvel movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Or other sorts of movies, but those violence is not really a thing that we care about a ton in the U.S. and except when it's in books, apparently.
Yeah. I watched a TikTok recently of a mom at a school board meeting. They were trying to ban 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult, which is about a school shooting. And she's like, I'm sorry, but if my kids have to learn how to live through a school shooting and they're not allowed to read about a school shooting, what are you trying to say here? Like, what?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what precedents do you want to set? And she went on for a pretty long time. She read quite a few passages from the book. And that one for me was pretty odd. I don't know.
That's actually on our high school summer reading list.
It is. There are actually quite a few of the books on the high school summer reading lists over the years that have definitely been banned books, banned or challenged books, which I really, really appreciate.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I read a few of them, and I don't even get it. I don't get why.
Yeah, there's some that I'm like, why did they ban this?
Where did you even find the passage to pick out?
Yeah.
That makes this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Exactly. A lot of the books are based on topics of health and well-being for students. So think like mental health type stuff. A lot of it is.
Yeah.
Things of grief and death. Again, with all the kids are definitely aware of this nowadays because of all the different school shootings we've been having because, fun times. Themes of racism, LGBTQ, sexual experiences between characters of any kind, and mentions of teen pregnancy, abortion, or sexual assault. Like, these are all things that kids have to deal with, like, just in their lives. Like, you can't protect them from it. And it's really something that there needs to be resources out there for the kids, because clearly hiding things doesn't help, right?
No.
It never has in the past, and it definitely won't help now, right?
And a lot of those books explain how to survive that type of situation and how to get out of that type of situation and where to look for help.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like what you go through mentally after a lot of that stuff. Yeah. How to handle it, how maybe not to handle it.
Yeah.
And it is one of those things for me. It's kind of baffling and definitely disappointing that, like, whenever I was in sixth grade, I read The Diary of Anne Frank. And they've tried banning that in a lot of schools that are, like, older schools, older ages. And I'm like, I read that in sixth grade.
Yeah.
I was reading well above my grade level in, like, second or third grade. So it's like, what are you doing to the kids who read above the level that they're at? You're holding them back. They're not going to want to read something that's below their level because it's not going to be as interesting. It's not going to be as challenging. It's not going to be as eye-opening or anything like that. And then you're also shutting off empathy for others, because I remember sixth grade sobbing that entire book. And I don't think I stopped talking about her and her family and what everybody else went through for probably a full year. And that, if you're trying to keep that from kids, that's stopping history. You're keeping them from history. So it's more likely to happen again. And it just, for me, it doesn't make sense. There's no amount of sense that could be made from it.
No, the justifications that people give are almost always patently nonsense, right?
Yeah.
They just are. So, I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about, again, since it is Pride Month, there's been a bunch of LGBTQ books that have been banned, and this is all from last year. I guess a lot of them are happening this year as well, but I'll talk about the ones from last year because I have a list for that. So, the top one that has been banned just nationwide is Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. I apologize, Maya, if I don't know how to pronounce her name.
I can hear that question mark on the end of how you pronounce that name. Kobabe?
I'm going to go with Maya Kobabe, maybe. Okay. Which is basically mostly about, apparently, I'm not against people putting pronouns, but I don't like them when I can't pronounce what they are. Maybe it's E/M. Okay, that's fine. /ear, E-I-R, ear.
I don't know what that one is.
I don't know. I haven't heard that one. I'm familiar with like G and J and stuff, but not ear.
Sounds like they left off consonants.
Anyway, but it's it's because air is non-binary. So it's about their struggle of being, non-binary and asexual and how they grew up in that time. And it has, basically, it's a thing that lots of people who are in that sort of space, the ace space and non-binary space, to figure out what they are and how they can grow as a person. There is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, and that is a memoir manifesto about growing up as a queer black man in New Jersey and Virginia. There's Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evision, which is about a Mexican-American man who faces discrimination and other hardships as he goes through his own self-discovery. And then just one more here. Better Nate Than Ever and 567 Nate by Tim Federal? Who knows? And this is it's a trilogy by that follows this kid Nate, or this guy Nate, from his small town in all the way up to New York City, and talks about whether he can do Broadway stuff for the Broadway production of E.T. the Musical. And I'm not gonna lie, I mostly picked this one just because the names are great, because I love puns, and also Broadway production of E.T. the Musical, amazing, just gonna be great, I'm sure. I've never seen that. I've never even heard that was a thing, but
Me either.
I want to see it now.
The songs would definitely be interesting.
Yeah, what would you sing about? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Does
Going
E.T.
home.
sing in these things? That's
You
the
would
question.
sing about going home, Zach.
It's just a bunch, one song of just E.T. and his little noises.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of little noises, and then every now and then E.T. phone home occasionally. And they have a little flashlight on the guy's finger. I don't know. It sounds fantastic. But those are some of the ones that have been banned. There's, like I said, I've got a list here of 25 different ones. There's tons and tons of books that have been banned recently. And, I mean, you heard the description of those, especially this one. It's like, why would this be banned? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So that's your book news for this week. Don't ban books, people. Let people read books, all right?
Just so you know, if you ban a book, I'm judging you super hard.
I'm going to get my squirt bottle out. Nope.
Yeah. We're going to spray you like a cat.
Bad.
Yeah, it's like, if you don't want a kid reading the book, don't let your kid read the book. It's still stupid, but don't make everybody else not do it too. It's nonsense.
Okay, so what have we been reading?
Somebody else go. I have to
Okay.
compose myself.
Okay. So books that I've read in the past month. I only read 5 in May. I had a very slow month.
Only,
Fine.
dear
I
God.
have
Well, I mean, I think last month I read 14 or something.
We've read a lot of
Wow.
books in this year so far. I had a slow
They
year
cheat.
too.
They listen to them.
No, I read ebooks, I read physical books, and I listen to audiobooks.
Same.
So no,
Cheat.
I'm not cheating. Listening to audiobooks is reading.
No,
This is a fight that you do not want to start.
Maybe we can save this for our next
Yeah.
chat.
I
Yeah.
think we should ban audiobooks.
I will fight
You will
somebody.
get stabbed.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so some of the ones I want to talk about. One is Ariel by Garth Nix. And this is I think it's the 4th one. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the 4th one in the Abhorsen series. And it follows this girl, Ariel, who is related to the Abhorsen. She's related to the king. Her mom is a very well-known blacksmith. And her dad is a pushover. I don't know how else to
He's
describe
a
him.
himbo, I say.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Anyways, so it's about her.
It's like bimbo, but a male.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm so old. I'm so sorry.
I didn't know either.
But she doesn't want to do anything but go into the forest and live her own life. And, she doesn't want to take responsibility for anything. And it just follows her journey after her parents are murdered. I didn't really want to give that away, but I think that's not too much of a spoiler. But anyway, so it follows her story and shows how she uses free magic creatures to get her way, and then realizes the free magic creatures, aren't actually working for her. They were just going along with it so they could get to where they wanted to be. And, lots of violence, so we'll have to ban that one.
Yeah.
No, not really. But it tells you at the end of the book that she becomes one of the main villains in one of the previous books.
Mm-hmm.
I think I gave this book 4 stars, which is saying something for me because I'm a 5-star person.
Mm-hmm.
But it was okay. I didn't really like her because she was very whiny. She was all like, poor me all the time. And I understood that she was a child, but I've read so many other books that are like, teenagers, and they're like, yeah, this really sucks, but this is what I have to do, and I'm going to be strong through it. And she, the entire time, is like, I don't want to do this. I just want to go live in the forest. Let me desert everybody I care about and just go. And that made me angry.
I gave this book 5 stars. I thought for an origin story, I did. She was whiny, and I didn't enjoy most of her for most of the book. But by the time I got to the end and I realized who she was, and it was revealed who she was, I just went, oh, well, this is how you do an origin story. Because, I mean, you kind of see the whole time she is not going to be what she wants to be or who she thinks she wants to be. And I know it was also, she became that because things were not taken care of at the end. I'll just leave
they
it at
didn't do what they should have done with her. And she ends up becoming this like really powerful villain later on in life.
Yeah.
Or death. Because, you know,
It kind of worked that way.
dead things come back to life in these books.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Well, is there a message about that then, that you can't do things on your own and you become a villain?
Don't be a whiny little brat.
Don't be a whiny. That's right.
That's the message. Don't be a whiny little brat.
Take note.
I say as I am the same person to cry over any small inconvenience. You know, I only have to be dramatic for about 5 minutes and I'm good.
Yep.
Does somebody else want to talk about theirs?
I have been reading. It's a book.
Oh, is it?
Get off your high horse, woman.
You know, maybe you would get more done if you actually listened.
I'm listening to one too. Nickeled and Dimed by Barbara, Ehrenreich. Something like that.
That looks
We're
right.
going to have to learn how to pronounce these names.
Yeah.
No.
Because I don't think anyone that writes a book has a
I agree
name
with
you can
Zach.
pronounce.
No.
No, you make your best bet and you go with it. And then you lean
Like
in.
fantasy names.
Immediately no.
This one is about the working poor. A newspaper magazine journalist decides that, it would be a great idea. She's talking to her editors, like how it would be a great idea if someone actually did some research about how the working poor survive and how they get along in the world. And he's like, oh, that's a really great idea. You should do that. And she was like, oh, no, because she has this nice, comfortable life and, she doesn't want to leave it. But she goes off with like just very little money, like $100, and tries to get an apartment and a job and support herself in different places. She realizes just how hard it is and how there are no secrets. People are struggling horribly. And I haven't even got through the whole book. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Hopefully,
And
she will
anymore.
learn a lot. But it's like, it amazes me, though, how much people that have some money don't understand how hard it is for people that don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
Zach.
you can't,
Mister, you don't shop very well.
you can't even afford housing.
Right.
And you have to you have to live with other people.
Yeah.
You have to share accommodations that are less than adequate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to find your food and to eat properly so you'll have better health. You just can't do it. There's not enough money there.
No way.
And it's almost set up for you to fail and to keep you in this like slightly above slave.
yeah. It's like when you get help from the state.
Yeah.
Like, say you get food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
You get food stamps up until you just barely are above it. They take them away. And then you're struggling because you still don't actually make enough to buy your groceries.
Yep.
But they've deemed you rich enough to be able to do it. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
Especially with the way inflation is. Because like $100 is like $20 now.
Yeah.
No, see, the issue is you guys just gotta eat less avocado toast. You're wasting all your money. And don't buy Starbucks coffee ever.
I was going to say, poor people aren't allowed to have any small luxuries, such as coffee in the morning that you didn't brew yourself.
Yeah.
Or an avocado.
Yeah.
How dare you even,
They're like $2 a piece.
even think about having an avocado?
Right.
No, everybody knows that the real money's in asparagus anyway. That junk is ridiculous.
Dude, the size of the asparagus in Seattle, I would pay good
there were
money
some
for
dummy
that.
thick ones
Swear
in Seattle.
to God, it's as big around as my thumb. It's huge.
that
I've
is
never seen
big.
asparagus that big.
I like the little tender ones.
No, these were like huge.
Trees.
They were.
Just as a side note about asparagus, if you've never seen what asparagus looks like when it's growing, look it up because it looks fake.
It doesn't.
It does look
Yeah,
fake. Yeah.
It's so fake.
Because there's nothing at the base of it.
Yeah.
No, it's just like you went out into your field and stuck asparagus in the ground. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
It's like, look, I grew this.
It's like, no, you did. You just stuck that in the ground. It looks exactly like that. I was so surprised.
The second one I am listening to, this is an audiobook. It's on leadership because I'm trying to do better as a boss and stuff like that. But I'm not sure anyone who writes a book should be allowed to read their book because they want to emphasize way too much instead of just reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because these guys are Navy SEALs or something like that. They're like, and this is what you have to do because this is the best way to do it. And they're like, every word is like emphasized. I was like, I can barely listen to it because
oh my gosh,
it's like worse than, Kirk.
I was going to say, Kirk and William Shatner.
Do they talk like Shatner too?
Yes, they do. And it's like so intense. I mean, there is no like just chatting or like, this is how you do stuff. It's
They're men.
I know. And I know. But it's like, they have good points if you can get past all that other stuff. And it's a struggle.
All the testosterone.
Yes, the testosterone is kind of like thick. Very thick, but they do have good points. So we'll see. We'll see if I can get past the 2 hours. I have 8 to go. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That'll be fun.
So, okay, how about you?
I am reading a book right now that's a true book about, do you remember a couple years ago, the Amish community that had the man come in and shoot their children while they were at school and killed them?
Yeah.
I'm reading a book that his mom wrote.
Oh.
Wow. It's amazing. I mean, like, it's a man who had lived in the community, was raised in church, had children of his own, and all of a sudden one day he wakes up and kills children. And this community, the Amish community, has turned around and forgiven him. Yeah.
That takes strength.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I'm not sure that I could do it.
I don't think I could.
I'm not sure that I could do it.
A petty person that loves revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have forgiven.
I'm not all the way through with it, but it's so kind of emotional because, of course, it's a true story.
Yeah.
And it's a true story of a mom who has to look at both sides of it, of her son being a murderer and then the children and their families, So, and then has to deal with the wife and the children of her son.
Yeah.
So, my gosh, it's just really, I might have got in a little too deep on this one.
I don't think I could handle that personally. It would break me.
I know. It just blows my mind. I'm ready to finish it because it's, sometimes you can read true stuff and you just get really depressed.
I read The Radium Girls, and that was a heavy book.
I couldn't finish that
let me tell you something. Then you guys were just discussing this a little while ago about banning books and things like that. But it's like, you guys, this stuff is happening in the world. Why can we not read it? Why can't we read anything we want to, first of all?
Yeah.
But second of all, why can't we read true things and, either be prepared for something that might happen or, just know that it could happen?
Yeah.
I actually have a theory about that.
Yeah.
I think it's because words have true power and they have the ability to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Yeah.
And make you look at things differently and maybe be more empathetic to a group that they don't want you empathetic to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or, there's power in words.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I tell you, that's really all. I guess I'm going to say this and I'll stop. I'm sorry.
You're here to talk with us today.
From being raised in Jackson County and Cottageville, and all of us, we're from there, so we know. It was the best thing that ever happened to me was to go to college and get out of Jackson County.
Yeah.
Just to be exposed to other cultures and other, lives. And I can't imagine just being right here for the rest of my life and not being exposed to that.
Yeah.
So I think with us being a poorer community, that a lot of kids aren't allowed to do that, or not allowed. That's the wrong word.
They don't have the opportunity.
That's right. They don't have that opportunity, and then it just manifests into, I think, sometimes ignorance.
Yeah.
That's a strong word, but I really do. And just not being exposed to what, really is going on in the world.
Yeah.
So, but that's my opinion. You know what they say about those.
Yep.
Well, we agree with you.
And another book I'm reading is Wildcat, The Untold Story of Pearl Hart, the Wild West's most notorious woman bandit.
Ooh. I have never even heard of her.
I love it. And it's true. It's true. And I so would be her, I think.
See, I need to find better nonfiction books, because every nonfiction book I read, I'm like, ugh, this is so boring.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is like, and they've done the research and they show how they found out the information and things like that. But it's just a girl who grew up in a horrible situation and an abuse and stuff, and then finds a man and they rob trains, but it's all true.
It's the best life.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, shoot.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, I said I can imagine me at 25 doing that, but not now.
It's like too tired.
But no, it's
takes
really
too long to heal.
That's right. It's so interesting, and just seeing the effects. The reason I brought up Jackson County, just seeing the effects of how we're raised and our belief systems and things that we're taught when we're young that we're supposed to believe the exact same way.
Yeah.
And not everybody does.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
That's true.
and just being exposed to other things can help.
It does.
Yeah, it just
It's
really opens your mind.
One of the best things about books, in my opinion, is it puts you in somebody else's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You are able to feel what they're feeling. And that translates to you being able to do that in real life. The more you read, the more perspectives you're seeing, the more you're able to stop and think like, well, why are they doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why you're doing that in real life. And my dad gets on to me. He's always like, you can't know what everybody's thinking. And I'm like, but I want to so that I can understand why they're doing this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Absolutely.
But those are the two
That
I'm
sounds
reading
good.
right now.
I think
It does
I would like
sound
to try
really
to read
good.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to you when I'm done.
I'll hang on to it for a while because
Yeah.
my school starts in
Oh,
a
that's
week.
right. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Zach, do you want to go ahead and do some books you've read?
Sure. I got at least one or two. So the first one is one I just finished up recently. It's called The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And I knew going in, so I think I mentioned this a few podcasts ago. I don't remember when. It's been a little while. But I hadn't finished it. I hadn't gotten that far into it. But it's a horror book. And after about the first, 10 or 15% of the book, I wasn't that far into it last time, it gets so buck wild. Like, there's crazy junk that happens in this book. The whole, I guess, premise is it's about some Native American people who a long time ago, I can't remember the exact time period it was for them. Like, this is set in roughly modern day, and like it was like 10 or 20 years ago beforehand. They essentially ran into a bunch of, a herd of elks on land that they were not supposed to be on, and they killed all the elks in this entire herd. And I don't want to spoil too much just because it's wild seeing what happens, but it's about essentially one of the elk that were killed getting revenge on all the Native Americans in there. And one other thing
That sounds awesome.
Oh, it's so wild. It is so wild. Like, you don't think anything about it for the first chunk of the book. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. This is supposed to be a horror book. What's going on? And there's little sprinkles of stuff that are in there. And then all of a sudden, when stuff actually starts hitting the fan, you're just like, oh my god, what is going on in this book? It's so wild.
I'm so excited.
It is so wild. I mean, I will say that at some points it gets a little slow, and you have to sort of push through those points, but the rest of the book is just, the ideas are amazing. It's just so creepy sometimes. The descriptions are great. It's a really good book. I enjoyed it a lot. And one other thing I wanted to mention just about it, this is something I did not know. Apparently there's this thing called res ball or res basketball, right? So it's basketball with slightly different rules that they play on reservations. And apparently basketball is huge on Native American reservations. I had no clue. This is brand new to me.
It was big in the book. The absolute true diary of a part-time Indian.
Oh, they talk about basketball a lot in there too?
Yeah.
I don't know why this is not a well-known thing, because I had never heard of it. I mean, it makes sense, And just, I guess, want to mention one other book. I don't think I mentioned this before. So I read a couple other books. The Kiss of Deception, obviously, we talked about that one. I reread The Law by Jim Butcher, because I forgot I had read it, and then I bought it a little bit ago, and I started reading it, and I was like, wow, this sounds really familiar. And after about 20 minutes in, I'm like, I've read this book already. Why did I buy it again? Because I had
They
the
probably
Kindle.
changed the cover.
Yeah.
No, I had the Kindle version, and then the audiobook went on sale because I wasn't going to spend full price for a novella.
I remember you talking about this, about how you weren't going to buy it until it was on sale.
I apparently already bought it a while ago.
But you feel dumb, don't you?
I do feel pretty dumb. Anyway, so the point is it's a good little interstitial book for the Dresden Files. So if you're reading the series, The Law, it's all right. It's pretty good. It's short. It's cute. It gives you a little bit more flavor. It's a little bit of a nice tease for the next book. And then the final one I wanted to mention, because I don't think I have mentioned this one at all. I read it a little bit ago. I don't know, sometime in like April, I think. Anyway, I read Tender is the Flesh.
Oh my God, did you like it?
So, it was fine.
It's all right. He liked that, crap book that I hated. So.
Yeah.
It happens, I know that lots of people do really like Tender is the Flesh. I don't really understand the appeal. Maybe it's just because... Okay, the premise of the book is that it's in something where people can't eat normal meat, so instead of just giving up meat or becoming vegetarian, the solution was to farm people and eat them instead.
I do want to say I tried to get this to be our deep dive book, but Mallory and Carla were like, no.
It's honestly, it sounds like creepy, gross, and bad. I wasn't that bothered by it.
I don't find it creepy.
That's scary.
I didn't find it gross. I thought that the way they farmed people was not effective.
No, I think that was the main thing. The main issue I had.
I think the reason I wouldn't want to read it is because I can really see us doing that. And I am fine with just pretending it won't. I mean, you can bite me, it's fine. But yeah, I just, with the way we're going now, at this point, I'm just like, it's going to be par for the course soon. I don't want to read it, and I'm just going to wait.
You don't want the prequel, right?
I liked how in that book, they don't call it human. They call it, was it meat with a capital M?
Yeah.
I think that's what they call it.
I think they call it just meat, and they call the humans heads, and they're...
Because they don't want to humanize them.
Yeah, they don't want to humanize them. I think the main issue I have with the book is that it doesn't seem realistic in the way it's portrayed, and I think that's what actually bothered me the most. Like, I mean, yes, it is possible that eventually we could turn to cannibalism in an extreme environment, but the reasoning there was just a little nonsense to me.
Only
honestly.
the elites. The rest of us have to eat bugs.
Would be. That's what it would actually be like. It would be like the elites, and then the rest of us have to eat bugs, or just go vegetarian because it's not actually that bad. Like, I mean, I
don't know. I really like meat.
Oh, I'm going vegetarian.
I'd be a carnivore. I'd go the complete opposite route and be a
carnivore.
So
what did the book say? Did the book say that the humans tasted good?
They generally liked them, yeah, from what I understand.
People are supposed to taste like pork.
Yeah, that's why I hear. That's why they call it the long pig.
Yep.
Anyway, though,
it'd be a delicacy.
Scrumptious.
I'm just kidding.
Overall,
oh my god,
it was a fine book. I liked the ending, but I didn't find it super realistic, and I think that's what actually bothered me the most about it. Like, I feel like it could have done a better job of reasoning why this would happen. I think I wanted more of that. Like, why did this happen in the first place? How did we get here?
Not realistic, yet a man living in a random world talking to skeletons is. Really? For reals right now?
Okay, well, see, the difference there is that that's a fantasy world or whatever. This is supposed to be like, in the real world, except one slight change where we eat people, apparently. And I'm sure they would be absolutely delicious, but I didn't find this realistic.
Oh my god, Mallory, please tell me you have some pleasant books to talk about.
I have another book if we got time.
Oh my gosh. I read the Atlas 6 a while back. It's been this year. I don't know how long ago though. So I finished so far the series with the Atlas Paradox. The first one ended in a spot that really just made me angry. And so I was fine not reading it because it's been a huge hole. It's one of those books. It's a book talk book. So I thought, waiting a few 6 months might lessen the holds on all of that stuff. That was incorrect. So I had to wait like 12 weeks for the second book. So I finished it and I liked it. I'm ready for the third book. I'm kind of mad about it still, but it ended better than the first one. It's just one of those, I like the story. It's really cool. It's a really cool world. The idea of magic is really neat. It's different than anything I've read before, but some of the people, it's almost kind of magician-y. I do like most of the characters, but there are just some that are like, get out of here. And then, obviously, we did A Woman of No Importance, which was probably my favorite read of the month. For sure. So I finally finished the Library of the Unwritten series. It's a trilogy. So book number 2 is Archive of the Forgotten. And then book 3 is The God of Lost Words. And I read the Library of the Unwritten. It's been
years. It's been years since we read that one.
Yeah, and I was so obsessed with it. I made everybody else read it. I think I made Carla buy like 2 other versions. We had the book in print. I was like, get it in the audio. Like, we have to have it. We have to have it here. We have to have it here. We have to have it here. And then
and we do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. It's a really great book. It's the library of, it's called Hell's Library, but it doesn't actually belong to hell. So it's basically a realm you go to after you die. It can be. And the librarian there, the books are unwritten books. So they haven't been finished. They've been started, but not finished for one reason or another. And so sometimes the books in this realm, they actually turn into the characters come to life and they try to escape. And the librarian has to like keep them in line, because if they go out, usually they want to leave so they can go meet their author, which is a big no-no. And the first book, one escapes like very cleverly. And she calls him Hero, because he's obviously a hero. He's very suave, debonair, like good looking, charming, the whole, yeah, me too. And so, we just follow the whole journey, and it's a wild ride. And the rest of the books are pretty much the same for me. They're all separate. There's always something new that they have to and I thought there was not something else that we could go through, but there was. And the story wrapped up really nicely. So I was kind of bummed about the end, personally, but
what's the name of it?
It was a good ending. The Library of the Unwritten.
Okay.
It's by A.J. Hackwith.
How come you
What
got
a
an easy
name.
name to pronounce?
They are really good books, though.
They are
I've
good.
read all 3 of them, too,
Yeah.
and they are incredibly good.
I think the main reason I waited so long to listen was because I listened to all 3.
They changed the narrator, and
yeah.
I was complaining about it, and she's like, well, I'm not going to listen to that for a while,
Yeah.
because she wanted to forget
It
the
did.
old narrator's voice,
Yeah.
which makes sense. I did not forget.
Yeah.
And I complained the entire time.
I hate it when they do
Right.
that.
I was like,
it's
I
like you
hate
get
this.
used to this
Yeah.
one person, unless it's the Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Navy SEAls, but
Yeah.
just don't read your book. Let
Yeah.
a professional do it.
Let somebody else do it.
Oh.
And that, I think, pretty much the only other book, it's not really a book. It's kind of like one of those
Short
little
story.
novellas, short stories from another series that we read for book club a while ago. The Raven Boys.
Yeah.
The Raven Boys.
No, the Raven Boys is the book.
It's a book.
The series is the Raven Cycle,
Yeah.
I think.
So that one, it counts, I guess, but I'm personally not counting it as a whole book. So I would say I read like 5.25 books.
I've read that one, and you need to read the next
Yeah.
about...
I am finally going through those now, though.
I want to say that the Raven Boys books are amazing. But
They
then
are.
they have another trilogy off of that with a character from the Raven Boys. So it's like his point of view and what he's going through in life and stuff like that. Wrecked me.
Yeah.
I cried. I'm
haven't-
pretty sure. I said like 45 minutes
I
reading
haven't
those
done
books.
those.
I was like, it wrecked me. But they're so good. Everybody needs to read them so
Yeah.
they can, just hurt with me.
Yeah, number 1 is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, which, that's a fun name. Because I don't think it looks...
It does not look like that.
It doesn't, no.
It looks like Steve Vader.
Yeah. But then, so yeah, is the second one is what, Call Down the Hawk? Or...
No, that's
another one by her.
Yeah. The next one I think is it Blue Lily Blue?
Well, yeah, but I meant in the series that you're talking about.
Oh, the series? I don't know what it's called the Dreamer Trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, those are those. She's a very good author. I think, does that all wrap us up, everybody?
Yeah, I'll skip
think
my
so.
second one.
Okay.
I had another one I was going to talk about, but
You get it next time.
Yeah.
maybe if I remember. I could be like 15 books past that now.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so on next week's episode, we're going to be discussing Ariel's deep dive pick, The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. The week after that, we will be doing Ariel's nonfiction pick, which will be Chasing Ghosts, all about ghosties. And following that episode, we will be having Spirit Walk Paranormal on. They're ghost hunters from Morgantown, and they're going to join us to further the discussion on ghosts and the paranormal.
Exciting.
Yes,
It'll
I'm
be real
very
fun.
excited about that. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Reading Room Ruffians. You can find us on Facebook by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library. And of course, you can follow us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. You can also check out our Reading Room Ruffians Goodreads, where we put the books we discuss and mention on our bookshelves. We also have all of our personal Goodreads linked, which we put on all of our socials and in episode descriptions here. So remember, only the best libraries have librarians who won't shush you.
Or ban books.